Red Bull just promoted a driver who grew up worshipping Lewis Hamilton. Arvid Lindblad, the rookie joining Racing Bulls in 2026, is now under fire after leaked footage exposed his childhood obsession with Hamilton posters, interviews, even sim races in Mercedes liveries. And now that he's part of the Red Bull system, fans are asking, how long until this explodes behind the scenes? Subscribe now, because this is not just about fandom, it's about what happens when your loyalty is to the enemy and the cameras are finally rolling. Arvid Lindblad's promotion to Formula One should have been a routine celebration for Red Bull's junior program. At just 17, he's already earned comparisons to Verstappen's meteoric rise, quick reflexes, excellent race aircraft, and a natural composure far beyond his age. But just days after the announcement that he'll join Racing Bulls in 2026, a storm erupted that no one in Milton Keynes saw coming. The discovery that Lindblad has been, and perhaps still, is a passionate Lewis Hamilton fan. This revelation wasn't tabloid speculation. It came directly from Lindblad himself in a resurfaced video interview recorded 3 years ago. In it, a young Arvid sits with a mic in hand, saying with wide-eyed admiration, "Hamilton is the reason I started racing. I've watched every single one of his races since I was a kid. He's the greatest of all time." That quote, innocent as it seemed at the time, has now ignited a media firestorm because in 2026, he'll be driving under the Red Bull banner, the very organization that has long positioned itself as Hamilton's fiercest rival. The backlash was immediate. Red Bull fans, particularly those loyal to Max Verstappen, were quick to question the optics. Could a known Hamilton admirer truly integrate into the team ecosystem? Would he buy into Red Bull's philosophy, the same one that once went head-to-head with Mercedes in one of the most bitter title fights in F1 history? And more importantly, could he be trusted in the long term if his racing heart has always leaned toward the silver arrows? Behind the scenes, team personnel weren't blind to this either. Sources close to the Racing Bulls camp have admitted that they were aware of Lindblad's childhood preferences, but didn't see it as a problem. One engineer put it plainly, he might have looked up to Hamilton when he was 12. But he's 17 now, and he's about to represent us. What matters is what he does in the car, not who is on his bedroom wall. Still, the intensity of the Red Bull-Hamilton rivalry makes this situation unique. This is not just about preference, it's about legacy, loyalty, and public perception. What adds fuel to the fire is the leaked onboard footage from Lindblad's sim racing streams. In at least 3 of them, he's seen racing in a Mercedes W13 livery fully decked out in black with the 44 number proudly on display. The clips aren't recent, but they've resurfaced with a vengeance. In an age where every detail is dissected, even virtual fandom can be turned into narrative ammo. Fans across social media are asking whether Red Bull just signed a future star or a walking PR liability. Lindblad, for his part, has responded with remarkable maturity. In a short, calm statement issued after the leak, he said, "Yes, I admired Hamilton. I still respect everything he's done, but I'm a Red Bull driver now, and I'm focused on earning my place here." That line struck a chord. To many, it sounded genuine, not coached. But the duality of racing for Red Bull, while praising Hamilton, publicly still lingers awkwardly. It's a balancing act few rookies have ever faced this early in their career. The real question isn't whether Lindblad likes Hamilton, it's whether that admiration will shape or sabotage his F1 journey. In a world where brands, narratives, and allegiances define a driver's value as much as pace, Lindblad will need to walk a razor-thin line. He's no longer just a teenager with a dream. He's part of the Red Bull machine now. And every word, every choice, every memory from his past, even the ones wearing a number 44, are now fair game under the spotlight. From the outside, Arvid Lindblad's rise to Formula One may look sudden, a teenager promoted before even completing a full Formula 2 season. But within Red Bull's driver development program, Lindblad's progression has been tracked, modeled, and compared against every other junior driver across 5 seasons. The decision to back him was not emotional. It was algorithmic, technical, and grounded in thousands of laps of raw, granular data. Red Bull's data engineers first flagged Lindblad back in his karting years. His steering trace data, the shape of how he turns in and unwinds through corners, showed a level of fluidity rarely seen at junior levels. When plotted alongside peers, Lindblad's trace resembled a high-level F2 driver more than a teenager in karts. That immediately elevated his status within the internal scouting dashboard, where metrics like turn-in sharpness, brake release rate, and apex speed consistency are weighted heavily. Once he entered single-seaters, his telemetry was run through comparative models that pitted his sector-by-sector performance against historical Red Bull drivers at the same age. In high-speed corners, his lift points were minimal comparable to early Max Verstappen. At tracks like Spa and Red Bull Ring, he showed strong adaptability in changeable conditions, a metric the team considers crucial for future regulations where tire and energy management will be key to race aircraft. Beyond pace, Red Bull has begun focusing on cognitive telemetry, how quickly a driver processes race engineer feedback, adapts to setup changes, and replicates data targets across multiple stints. Lindblad outperformed nearly every junior in this regard. When asked to replicate Verstappen's brake trace from the 2023 RB19 in the simulator, Lindblad came within 2% on the third lap. Engineers noted his ability to match not just the shape of Max's lap, but the logic behind it using similar entry compromises and throttle phases. Another factor Red Bull monitors is mental bandwidth, how drivers process pressure. Through biometric testing heart rate versus lap time deltas, eye tracking and reaction delay under stress, Lindblad proved exceptional. Even in test scenarios where noise and distraction were simulated, his performance degradation was minimal. That gave the team confidence that, despite his age, Lindblad could handle the media pressure that comes with stepping into a politically charged paddock like Formula One. Interestingly, internal reports also show that Red Bull's PR team flagged the Hamilton fandom months ago and advised that it would only be a mild image risk as long as Lindblad was briefed properly. What they didn't expect was the speed and intensity of the social media reaction once the clips went viral. The data team argued that it would not affect his performance. The marketing team remained divided, but Christian Horner reportedly overruled hesitation, stating, "If the kid is fast, we'll shape the story around him." And that is precisely where Red Bull stands today, betting not just on Lindblad's pace, but on their ability to manage the narrative. They've done it before. Sebastian Vettel was once criticized for being too soft-spoken. Verstappen was seen as too aggressive. Red Bull rebranded both into icons. With Lindblad, they'll do the same, only this time they're working with a driver whose biggest strength might not be who he admired, but how quickly he can become the one others admire next. Red Bull's long-term chassis vision isn't just about downforce or raw power anymore, it's about creating a platform that maximizes energy recovery, aerodynamic stability, and low-speed agility under the new 2026 regulations. For that, they need drivers who are not only fast, but technically synchronized with what the car demands in every corner phase. That's where Arvid Lindblad enters the frame. His entire driving profile is structured around three core traits: minimal input waste, smooth energy conservation, and aggressive rotation without destabilization traits that mirror what Red Bull's engineers are building towards. Under the new rule set, 2026 cars will feature a smaller battery pack, higher electric deployment ratios, and reduced drag coefficients. That means drivers must generate lap time more through precision and corner management than brute force acceleration. Lindblad's junior career shows exactly this. His corner entry telemetry reveals shorter braking distances, but more gradual deceleration, allowing the car to stay balanced and keep the rear tires alive. At tracks like Zandvoort and Jerez, this made him a tire whisperer in junior categories. Red Bull's 2026 concept car, codenamed internally as RB22X, emphasizes a neutral chassis balance, meaning it neither understeers nor oversteers excessively by default, allowing the driver to define rotation through brake and throttle timing. Lindblad's natural input style matches this perfectly. He doesn't fight the car into corners. He positions it, waits half a beat, then rotates sharply but cleanly, something that Red Bull's driver-in-the-loop simulator has already modeled as ideal for their mid-corner philosophy. Another advantage is that Lindblad doesn't overdrive. Many rookies, especially those with karting aggression still in their muscle memory, tend to overcompensate with sharp steering corrections or mid-corner throttle stabs. Lindblad does neither. His hands are quiet on the wheel, his pedal work progressive. When paired with the lighter chassis and more responsive energy deployment of the 2026 spec cars, this means he'll likely extract more efficiency per lap, not just in pace, but in strategic energy use. Red Bull also wants consistency, not just hot laps. In recent testing simulations, they've modeled full race stints based on each junior driver's historical throttle mapping. Lindblad's data showed the smallest variance in lap time drop-off over a 30-lap race run, meaning he's able to preserve performance without needing constant radio corrections. This is exactly the kind of profile needed for 2026, where strategic flexibility will win races more than raw power units. What's more, Red Bull sees Lindblad as a programmable driver. That's not a criticism, it's high praise. They don't need a political powerhouse or media personality. They want someone who follows instructions, replicates engineering feedback on track, and doesn't waste energy battling the car or the team. Lindblad's early days in the sim prove this. When given alternate brake bias setups or aggressive diff maps, he adapted in fewer laps than Lawson or Hauger. That's the kind of sponge mentality they want beside a superstar like Verstappen or whoever takes over the A-team seat beyond 2028. In the end, Red Bull's bet on Lindblad is not about the headlines or the Hamilton connection. It's about future-proofing. With a regulation reset looming and car behavior expected to change radically, Red Bull believes it's smarter to shape a driver to fit the car than to shape a car around the driver. Lindblad fits the mold of the adaptable, mechanically sensitive, low-ego racer. And in the razor-thin margins of post-2026 Formula One, that may be the smartest move of all.